It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Merry Christmas.
This morning, as always. Yeah, Merry Christmas. There's enough negative news out there. Merry Christmas. Yeah. Ho, ho, ho. How's everybody doing?
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Wait a minute. It's Christmas Eve a week from now.
Yeah. Oh, did you see it's Raising Cane's, the chicken place, has Peter Billingsley in the ad, and he can't make up his mind what he wants, like when he was a kid in the store, in a Christmas Story.
Wow.
And he can't make his mind up.
Really?
Yeah, and I've seen it a couple of times on digital. It's a really cool ad. Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. It was cool.
I do have some money cards, credit cards that have Ralphie, coming down the stairs in the bunny suit that says, I won't be it's something like, I won't be the one giving you something that you don't want this year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
With
yeah.
the
All right. I like that.
So
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
About the administration. I just don't
know.
I don't understand
I don't know.
the stupidity of Susie Wiles doing an interview with over a period of a year.
Yeah,
doing an interview with Vanity Fair.
Well, because I'm thinking back to the vetting of Hegseth, right? And how that, that almost turned into a soup show. Actually did turn into a soup show. But it ultimately worked out, and Hegseth was approved by the Senate, confirmed. Well, then you think, I see this story, and I'm like, wait a minute, am I reading this right? I mean, this says interview with Vanity Fair. Are we sure it wasn't a leak by Vanity Fair, that someone from Vanity Fair was sitting at a restaurant next to her or something and overheard her talking or something? Because why in the world, of all the people, would Susie Wiles sit down with Vanity Fair in essentially a series of conversations? And then it wasn't, an hour later, she comes out on social media. It was a hit piece on me. No, you did it voluntarily.
11 interviews.
Yeah. 11.
Which, by the way, they have on tape.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, you sat down with Vanity Fair. Why in the world would you sit down with Vanity Fair? The president helping her out later in the day. He said, well, she's kind of right. I've talked about it, that I have this alcoholic personality. And it's a good thing I never took up drinking, because I would probably be an alcoholic. And she's right. And she's good. No problem. I have confidence in her, the whole thing, And I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, maybe that primetime address is going to be about Susie Wiles and her replacement. Probably not. But holy cow, how does that happen? How in the world does that happen? Sorry, but you can't claim hit piece. Because you have to assume Vanity Fair is going to take you out of context when you do 11 interviews.
Well, the one thing, too, is she disputed the quote about Musk's alleged drug use.
Yeah.
That she talked about. And so Vanity Fair made the actual tape of what she said available, apparently, to the New York Times. They go, nope, that's what she said.
Yeah. Because I thought to myself, when she posted, this is a hit piece, I thought to myself, great, then sue them. File a lawsuit. Let's get discovery. Let's see the whole thing. Let's have the whole truth come out. And because that's kind of been Trump's, approach to the media. And it's worked in a couple of cases. ABC's paid for like half of his presidential library so far.
I learned that I don't do anything. I mean, because of the time now, we hardly ever do interviews, but I don't see the need to anymore. But unless it was a live show or a tape panel discussion where they're not going to cut it.
Right.
I got burned once. And I got burned by Nightline. This goes back 95 maybe. And to very quickly tell you I was working in Buffalo, New York. And there was an incident of a mall there. And there was a route that came in from the city of Buffalo that they would not allow, that the manager of that mall would not allow in, because he said it came from the inner city and therefore there was crime. And immediately it became a racist issue. And the Buffalo News jumped on it and was talking about the fact that, I'll never forget one of the columnists there, this is the most racist city in the country. And it was a load of horse manure. And as I said, I remember they came to, I was on the air and I was blasting what was going on. And I was just like, wait a minute. This one guy who was the manager, who wasn't even from the Buffalo area, maybe he is. But that's one person. And you're taking one incident of one person who made a decision, and boom, you indict the entire city and region as being racist. And I went, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely stupid to do.
Yeah.
So, and I was doing that on the air every single day and pounding them for it, on it. And so Nightline came in to do a thing on the story because it became such a big story.
Right.
And so they came into my studio. They interviewed me for like an hour and a half. They used 4 seconds, less than 4 seconds, of that interview and took the words which took me completely and totally out of context. And I said, that's it, never again. Won't do it.
Yeah. Dan Rather's people, after he moved to cable, whatever channel he's on, They sat down to interview me at a truck show one time and wanted me to basically, say something. Eventually, after a couple of questions, I realized where they were going. I realized what the angle was. They wanted me to say a bunch of negative things about the trucking industry and the whole thing. And the fact of the matter is that they were wanting me to answer questions as if I was out there on the road, right? And I'm not. I don't have that experience behind the wheel. I don't experience what goes on in the industry and truck stops and the day-to-day routine and everything else. You would basically have to ask somebody else that has that experience, because that's actually what I tell everybody. Ask the truck drivers that are out there and experiencing that. But I didn't give them 45 minutes. They used exactly 0 seconds of it, because I wasn't going to give them it. They were asking me, well, would you recommend to your children getting into trucking? And I said, yes. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, yes. If this is what you want to pursue, but you need to do it right, just like my father told me about my career. And when when I was going to, well, he talked me out of getting, and he didn't talk me out of getting into law enforcement, but he said if I wanted to get into law enforcement before I came here, look, this is how you're going to have to do it. This is going to have to be your approach. And he was a lifetime military law enforcement and taught law enforcement and criminal investigation. So he knows what he's talking about. Another one was a newspaper that wanted me to do essentially a hit piece on CDL mills. I don't have that direct experience. It's the same thing. I have not gone to a CDL school. Just happens to be the case right now, where the Department of Transportation Secretary is they're going after these CDL schools for some of these CDL schools, not all of them, but the ones they say are not actually teaching these people and educating them, and there's been a long time concern there. And I just basically told the newspaper, and they ended up not doing the story with me, because I told them, I said, I don't have that experience. I can tell you what I hear, but I can't even tell you a specific allegation about a certain CDL school. I don't know. You would have to ask the people with that experience. There is a conversation about it, but you're having the conversation with the wrong person. It's you have to be, in order to be the president's chief of staff, you have to be the most media savvy person on the planet in that moment. And that was a series of missteps, 11 interviews. Why in the world would you ever sit down with Vanity Fair? I wouldn't sit down with Fox News for a series of interviews in situations like that if I'm chief of staff. Quite frankly, if I'm chief of staff, and, it was later in the day, people will, Susie Wiles doesn't do many interviews. She did 11 that I know of. And the thing is if you're chief of staff, keep your mouth shut until you run for mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. He was chief of staff for Obama, and, I'm sure he talked to the media. I mean, he wanted to be a celebrity. He wanted to be his own rock star. But the fact of the matter is, Susie Wiles is notorious for not talking. I mean, she's at those cabinet meetings, she's sitting at a recent cabinet meeting. Pete Hegseth was talking, and she's sitting next to him. And I'm kind of seeing if I can pick up on body language from her based on what Hegseth was talking about. But she's there, she's present, but she's quiet. And she's gotten a lot of respect from the president, and more respect after this all fell out yesterday, later in the afternoon.
Well,
but the
that's
fact
what
of the
they're
matter
saying.
Yeah, I know. But that's why I said later when he announced the primetime address, I thought, ooh, is that about Susie Wiles? But the fact is that you absolutely can't. You don't. I don't care who it is.
Well, it's so, as I said yesterday, and I'm feeling a little bit better today, but my mind was just bad cold, flu, whatever, and my mind just can't focus.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I woke up this morning and saw this, I just went, am I reading this wrong?
That's exactly what I thought.
What do I have wrong here? Susie Wiles cannot be this stupid. And then when I saw it was 11 interviews, I went, well, you did one. And then you did two.
Right.
And then you did three. And you never woke up and said, this is Vanity Fair. This is the liberal media.
Right.
They're going to take me out of context. Well, of course they are.
It's Vanity Fair.
And this is where you shake your head at this administration at times. You just say, at times, they are their own worst enemy.
I just don't get how in the world. I mean, it's not like Vanity Fair called her for a comment on something, which even then would be, I don't have a comment. I'm chief of staff and I'm busy. I can't talk to Vanity Fair.
Or if you go on one of the Sunday morning news shows.
Right.
You're talking about the events of what happened during the week.
Yeah.
And you already know.
Right.
Because you've created the talking points. You're chief of staff. So,
Exactly.
So you're the one creating the talking points. So you go in and you do this. But over a period of a year, and by the way, some of the quotes that they attribute to her, I believe it's what she actually means.
Mm-hmm.
Like the things on the tariffs. She just said, wow, there was a lot of debate about the tariffs. And she said, I didn't think they would be that painful.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that probably is accurate.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing
you and I talked about that earlier, but
I think the thing with Bondi and the influencers and that whole thing, with the Epstein files, I think that was probably accurate.
It mirrors exactly what.
Well,
I
mean, again, if it didn't happen that way, then tell us what you said exactly,
right. And sue because they're not afraid to sue. Are
exactly.
They? We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready. The top 2 violations written against drivers every year are log, general form and manner, and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I mean, the stuff that she says just being out there, I mean, there was no reason to ever say it or even come close to saying it. And if she didn't say it, she should absolutely sue. Well, if the quotes are wrong, let me give you an example. It's like she revealed that she and Trump had an agreement to end his retribution campaign against his political enemies within 90 days of taking office. Now, she told that to Vanity Fair. And
why?
When Trump was continuing it, she came back, and when Trump failed to uphold the agreement, the reporter revealed the topic again with Wiles. And here it is. It was a quote. In some cases, it may look like retribution, and there may be an element to that from time to time, but who would blame him? Not me. Why would you ever bring that up in the first place?
What are you trying to achieve?
And if it's not true, sue.
Yeah.
Because we know Trump will sue.
Mm-hmm.
Wiles acknowledged that the Trump Justice Department prosecution of New York Attorney General Letitia James was motivated by retribution. I mean, in addition, she addressed the since dismissed case against James Comey, saying, people could think it does look vindictive. I can't tell you why you shouldn't think that. And those are all in quotes. If she didn't say that, she should sue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because
I don't think he wakes up thinking about retribution, but when there's an opportunity, he will go for it. Why are you saying these things? Those are all quotes, by the way.
Yeah, right.
And then she was told Vance basically was a conspiracy theorist for a decade.
Yeah.
His conversion to Trump came when he was running for Senate, and I think his conversion was a little bit more sort of political. Why are you saying this?
Well,
that's all in quotes,
right?
By the way.
And first of all, probably an observation others have made. Why do you need to say that? Right. Why do you need to say that?
And, of course, she went after Bondi. I think she completely whiffed on appreciating that there was a very targeted group that cared about this. This was all the
Epstein files, yeah.
The Epstein thing. First, she gave them binders full of nothingness. Yeah. This is all quotes. And then she said that the witness list or the client list was on her desk. There is no client list. And it sure as hell wasn't on her desk. End of quote.
Well,
this is
because this is either the biggest scam that any news outlet, if you want to call Vanity Fair a news outlet, has ever pulled off, or she actually said these things. Because there are so many quotes here. There are so many things that they put in quotes. And she's saying it's a hit piece. Then sue.
Yeah.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio. Season's greetings from the Uniden America Studios.
And we are on iRadio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning, and thanks so much for being here. Merry Christmas, everyone. Just a week from Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I went to the Drudge Report just to see. Once in a while, I go more for entertainment than anything else. And so it's got, on Susie Wiles, the first line, White House, Susie sounds off. Score settling. That you go down, then the next headline. Score settling behind prosecutions. Then you go down a line. Vance, conspiracy theorist. And then you go down another line. Musk, drug user. And then the last line, her exit interview. It's like, oh, my God.
That's it.
I mean, there was, when you think of everything that the media has thrown at Trump, when you think of Russia collusion, where the media lied for years.
Yeah.
And they walk in to this term, she's the chief of staff, as if, oh, no, everybody wishes to talk to us and tell the truth and everything else, and they're supportive of the administration.
Right,
So, I mean, in order to do, I'm not saying she said that, but that's got to be the mindset when you say, oh, Vanity Fair wishes to do 11 interviews with me over the next year about Trump and what goes on inside the White House. Are you out of your freaking mind?
It's just so freaking bizarre. I mean, I don't imagine this, because I'm thinking to myself, is she about to John Bolton? Is she about to announce that she's gone and she's got a book?
Well,
deal?
Has she been a mole the entire time?
Right.
I'm going to be in here
No,
pretending
that's
I'm
what I'm
friendly, and then I'll destroy his second term through a ton of different interviews I'm going to do.
Well, it's basically 11 interviews. If you average that out, that's one per month for every month of his second term so far. My gosh!
She also accused of Musk of drug use in an interview with the New York Times on Monday. Wiles disputed the quote about Musk's alleged drug use, but then they played the recording of the interview for the New York Times, in which Wiles can be heard making the reported comments. She said that Musk. Now, see, this is where I believe her, that she said these things. Musk is an odd duck.
Yeah, right.
Because he's
well, I mean, at one point he allegedly smoked weed on the Rogan podcast, right? Remember that whole thing, and that just kind of sent some of the Tesla shareholders reeling, and they were just like, why are you doing that? That's not a good look.
But it's interesting when she goes, Wiles voiced similar criticism of the Trump administration process for its mass deportation campaign against illegal immigrants. The administration has set its priority for deportations as violent criminal offenders. But as we have seen, I mean, I think, what is it, like 2/3 or something like that have been, and there are other sweeps that have gone on. She goes, I will concede, these are all quotes now, I will concede that we've got to look harder at our process for deportation. But if there is a question, I think the process has to lean towards a double check to make sure that you're getting the right, whatever that means.
Right, yeah.
Internally, she said the Trump administration had major divisions over the president's Liberation Day tariffs announced in April. Wiles admitted Trump's sweeping global tariffs have been, and this quote now, more painful than I expected, end of quote. Despite her reservations, she said she did not object to being overruled by Trump on disagreements within the administration. Well, yeah, because he's the boss.
But he's the boss, yeah. Right.
But I just, forget about, I mean, again, where it hurts her is where on the drug use, she said, I didn't say that, and they claimed they have the tape and played it that she did.
Right.
So say that. She hasn't, did you see her come out and directly refute any of the allegations, or just say that the allegations are out of context?
I did not see a detailed Post, basically this was a hit piece. They took me way out of context, that whole thing. But here's the thing. It's easily proven or disproven. And that's the problem. Because it goes back to the original question. Why are you talking to Vanity Fair about any of this? They're asking questions. You control what you say. They can control the questions. You control the answers. You know that. In fact, of all the people in the world, you're supposed to be in control of all the answers to the media regarding this current president and his administration.
Well,
and it seems like, and again, 11 interviews. Huh? Was this like a book club thing?
but you thought they would be positive?
Well, I don't know where you. Well, here again, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, that is what I would ask. Why did you do it?
Because
why did you do it? What was the goal?
I know everybody who's listening to this show for any amount of time and going back to John Bolton and that whole thing, I know what John Bolton was trying to achieve. He was holding it in his hand the day it was published. He started, I am convinced he took that job so he could get a book deal. Because the first and possibly only time he has smiled is when he was holding that book. And I mean ever in his life. And so I know the motivation there. As far as I know, we should watch for breaking news. Susie Wiles is still the chief of staff. And if you say, again, 11 interviews, that is on the average one per month for every month of his second term so far. I mean, you could kick me in the midsection, and I wouldn't scream as loud as I did.
Yeah. Why?
What in the world? I was like you. I was jumping to, when it broke, I was jumping to every source going, what am I missing here? What am I missing here?
Because there's no way Susie Wiles would do 11
I actually
interviews
looked at the
with
box.
Vanity Fair.
I actually looked at the back of the box of the cold medicine again because I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be some kind. I don't know. What did I do? What did I do wrong? I've done something wrong.
You and I the same thing yesterday. The over-the-counter cold medicine.
Yeah.
We're like, does this stuff have? Because I hardly ever take it. Yesterday was the first day I've taken it. I don't know, in a couple of years.
Right.
And so I'm like, what am I missing? She can't be this stupid. I mean, 11 times? Well, that means she didn't know the first time that it was wrong or the second time that it was wrong?
That's what I'm doing. But because I'm sitting there going, with the cold medicine, I'm like, well, maybe I took the nighttime because, my nighttime is daytime. And if I took the daytime thinking it was nighttime and took the nighttime thinking it was daytime, because my nighttime has been daytime for 29 years. I had to have been, it must be me. Something is horribly wrong here.
And then as I was reading it said, okay, she basically came out and said, Trump and I have a 90-day thing. The retribution stops after 90 days. Like, why did you say that to begin with? Well, then when the 90 days went by, Vanity Fair went back to her and said, the retribution hasn't ended. Why the hell are you even on that topic? How did you even get to that?
Where are we going with this? Right. What are you trying to achieve? She's in charge of controlling the narrative from the administration to the media. Keep that in mind.
You only have one
job. One job. You're it. You're in charge of everyone else who speaks. In fact, you're supposed to influence the president. We know that's not always going to happen. In fact, rarely happens. But that's your job.
This is so bad that when she started getting into that Vance was a conspiracy theorist for 10 years, I started thinking to myself, I was looking around on social media saying, okay, who's the first one that's going to come out and say I think Susie Wiles is a Democratic mole, and she was put in there to destroy the Trump administration by doing something like the, to destroy the second term, because it was
almost me.
It is such a lack of any type of judgment, to the point where, in my opinion, if I'm president, my chief of staff did that and I didn't know about it, you're fired.
No, it's over.
You're gone. You're
it's
gone.
Over.
You're
it's
gone.
over. It's over that moment.
Because forget about leaks.
I know.
Forget about it. Leaks, you can... Yeah, it's a leak. It's not true.
Right. She was overheard talking at a restaurant or in the halls or whatever.
It's your chief of staff. You only have one job. Don't do the opposite of what your job is.
It was almost me that posted, she's a mole. Because after I put my reading glasses down from reading the back of the box of the cold medicine, I thought to myself, well, the only other answer could be she's a mole. Then she posted, it's a hit piece. And I said, no. But benefit of the doubt. Lawyers, lots and lots of lawyers, sue the fair out of Vanity Fair.
I thought
I was going to say something else.
Yes, I thought you were going.
Yeah,
My heart just went.
Yeah, let's see what I did there. It would be relentless, and I would say I would sue to release the tapes, all the tapes,
Right, because it's in quotes.
Yep, all of them.
So if the quotes are wrong,
then go after them.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear anything like, I didn't do 11 interviews. I didn't even say, half of these things, these topics I didn't approach. Half of these, I didn't see any of that. Right. What I saw was, this is a hit piece. They took me out of context. Okay, how? Specifically. Because you're talking, this is unsettling on a massive level, because, again, the messaging from this administration hasn't been on point lately on a number of fronts. And the person in charge of doing that, it now tells me, wait a minute, you've got the wrong person in that job. Is Karine Jean-Pierre, has she been hired by anybody? Let's get her a new book.
She's no longer a Democrat.
Right. She's an independent. So.
Well, she would be spokesperson, not chief of staff. And
I say chief of staff.
You think make her chief of staff, or get Peppermint Patty in there?
Right, exactly.
No, okay, that won't work out.
No, this I don't know.
That's Jen Psaki, by the way.
Right. I don't know. Over at RUNBC, what's their name? What do they call it? What do they go by now? MS Now. Yeah.
MS-13 now.
MS-13 now. Because this undermines everything. You're days before the end of the session on Capitol Hill, and we get into the midterm season. The stories are out there everywhere where the president's base is balking at a number of things that he's done so far. His own base. This is the time when all hands are on deck, and the two hands that have to be on deck and have the reins are the hands of Susie Wiles, and if she's not capable, it has to be somebody else now.
It's such a lack of judgment, and not one, but 11.
If it's not true, then let's prove it.
Her violations go to 11.
Mine goes to 11.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, everybody calm down. Calm down.
I don't know.
I've been getting emails already and messages on social media.
Yeah.
We'll do it next week.
What?
The guillotine story.
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah.
Every December.
Yeah.
It's like, of all the stories I've ever told, that's the one that sticks.
Yeah.
My favorite. I guess it's sort of an offshoot of the Christmas Story, though, right? Because the Red Ryder BB gun. And,
sure.
And I'm the one that started it, saying there was a Red Ryder BB gun, but then the best Christmas present I ever received from my brother, which was the miniature model French guillotine.
Yeah.
With the plastic blade that came down.
Well, I was a kid in San Antonio. I don't know if I got my BB gun for Christmas or not. I guess I did, or a birthday or something. But we used to have BB gun wars, so I almost did shoot my eye. Actually, my neighbor, one of my friends, shot me, and so we almost shot my eye out with that thing. We got close one time. But, yeah, we'll have to tell that story next week.
Yes.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I don't know, Eric. I don't know if this is BSing or gaslighting from Jake Tapper.
Okay, could be a combination of the two.
Because when something is so self-evident, as we all know.
Yeah.
Because that's really when gaslighting comes in, when people are trying to tell you that what you know, absolutely know, is not the case. And this is Jake Tapper, where he said, this is just great. I'm going to read it to you, then play the audio cut.
Okay, all right.
But I just, reading it, it's just too juicy. We covered, and he was talking about Trump's missteps. We cover it all the time on my show. And I think that is to a large degree because we saw what happened with Biden. And while we covered it, we didn't cover it. Maybe we didn't ask as many questions as we should have at the time. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
There it is.
We cover it all the time on my show. All the time. And I think that is to a large degree because we saw what happened with Biden, and while we covered it, we didn't cover it. Maybe we didn't ask as many questions as we should have at the time. And I think it is a legitimate question for any president of any age, but particularly anybody who is like in the range of being an octogenarian, right? We cover it all the time.
What just amazes me, because he's in the media like we're in the media.
Uh-huh.
I can't imagine trying to sell a completely different message than I was a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I don't know how these people stay in the media, how they feel no shame at all, which would be, stop BSing me. That's absolute BS. We all know it.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah.
I can't imagine even saying what he just said. Because I would feel, as I'm saying it, I would go, there's no way anyone's going to buy this. I mean, it just doesn't, it's
It's BS.
Well, I think of Chris Cuomo, right? Chris Cuomo has, I won't say redeemed himself, but he's certainly trying to redeem himself from his CNN career. I don't know what, he hasn't actually said, but he has a different approach now. Again, not that he gets a pass. I have a ton of questions for him, but
didn't he say, I thought it was in the last couple of weeks, that Chris Cuomo said the problem with being CNN, everybody had to have the same opinion.
I think he's said that. I don't know if he has actually come out with a mea culpa and said, I said things that I didn't believe.
I don't, not that, but he just said the pressure is on. We're a news nation. They can say whatever they want.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
You mean you were being paid to basically be a puppet of, your peers.
Right, because if you're saying that, you're saying that was required of you.
Right. Which means you earned your money by not telling people what you think, but making it sound like that's what you think.
Right.
When it was actually what management was telling you to say.
Right. And Tapper just has this, I don't know.
All right, go back. Go back. Go ahead. Go back.
Arrogance.
No, but I thought you were going to go back to when he was amazed that
Ferguson?
That Ferguson, the
cops
had riot
had
equipment.
Yeah. It's,
Can you believe it?
These police are armed. What? When did that happen? Yeah. they're armed. Huh? And it's this arrogant. Well, and maybe we didn't ask enough questions, and maybe we didn't, and maybe I just waited until the day after the election to actually start writing the book on Biden. And maybe it's just crap. Because my thought is, I would be laughing at, I wouldn't be able to finish what he just said in that audio cut. I wouldn't be able to finish it without just bursting out into laughter, going, it's crap. That's crap. You guys know it's crap. Nobody believes what I just said. Because it's garbage. And I think, I don't know, certainly for me, the older I get, my BS meter goes off more and more because, I have less and less time for it. You know what I mean? As you get older, it's like, hey, stop it. Just get to the point.
Look, I don't have the time to debate your BS. It's just all BS, and let me explain it within 2 seconds.
Exactly.
Because I really don't want to waste my time.
Right.
Because death is not that far away.
That's right. I don't even buy green bananas anymore.
That's why old people are cranky.
That's right.
We don't want to spend a lot of time rehashing the same old crap over and over again.
Right.
Death is right around the corner.
Right. Well, that's why we go out front and yell, hey, you kids, get out of my yard, because an ambulance and the crew might need to come through at any point. Hopefully not.
Oh, my gosh.
But we're thinking these things, and I just don't have any patience for it. I just don't have any patience for it because
is that true, Jake? So you've had this epiphany and realized, because you just weren't covering news between 2016 and 2020, and
yeah, right.
Apparently you just started in and you had this standard of not really covering people before Trump's second term,
right?
Which is a load of horse manure,
right?
And we all know. It's like, so Jake, is this really true? It's like when I heard that yesterday, I'm like, just shut up.
Yeah,
shut up. You're looking like a complete fool.
Right.
Everybody knows you're gaslighting.
Right. No, that's what it is. That's what that arrogance is. That gaslighting arrogance. It's just annoying. And I think to myself, I know why my sensibilities are changing. I'm about to hit 60. So it's almost over. But
what about me then? 10 years older.
I don't even want to get into that.
What?
I got you a new defibrillator for Christmas.
Okay,
but
this is like Scrooge.
Yeah,
where the Undertaker is standing right outside the door,
right,
for Jacob Marley.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's I do hope that the sensibilities of the consuming public of pretty much everybody are changing. I tend to believe they are because we see the polls and what people think of the media and everything else. We also see the numbers in the media. There's a reason that this stuff is basically going away. You see all of these moves in the media where the audience is no longer buying it. Now, there are other things that are influencing that, including the way that people watch whatever, and they're watching streaming and as opposed to news programs or cable news or whatever. But also, if you really had something and were doing a good job I believe there would still be a way for you to earn an audience and make it viable commercially. And we see a lot of that stuff going away for a reason. And that's what, that's what it comes down to, is that when you're gaslighting, you're not doing the work. You're not trying to earn the respect of an audience. And the liberal activist media has been in this place for such a long time. They've clearly they're buying into their own hype. That's what they're doing. They believe they can just say things and influence, and people will just buy what they're saying in the moment. And that we forget, and we don't remember all of the things the way that they behave.
Oh, you're right.
Up until now.
That's critical. As we say, they believe the public lives in the bubble of today.
Yeah.
So they can say something that's the opposite of something that they said 6 months ago.
Right.
And it doesn't matter.
Right.
And for us, it's always been, but I would know.
Yeah, exactly.
I would know that I'm BSing my audience. If
Right.
I just said something that was completely the reverse of what I had said a few months before,
right,
or a year before, or 2 years before,
right,
and just sat there and went, oh, okay, because I'd know it, and I wouldn't like myself for it, because I would know at that point that it's not me controlling the content of my show anymore; it's somebody else.
Exactly.
And if that's the case, I don't want to work here.
Right.
If I'm a mouthpiece for. And some people do that as a profession, and that's fine.
Right.
They're spokespersons.
There's a lot of puppetry going on,
and they can do it. But for me, I have no interest in doing it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that you and I, and we've talked with people in management before that were surprised that we had because so many people in talk radio want to use it as a jumping stone to get to TV.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I've done a little bit of TV. I have no interest in TV where producers control the content of your show, because the content itself can be how you censor, actually, what the truth is.
I've known since I was a child that the worst thing you can be is a puppet. And the reason I knew that is because I knew where the puppeteer had to put his hand in order to make you talk. And I thought, that's the worst job in the world.
No, but it is. I mean, that's
puppet.
not, I never wanted to do that, which is why, talk radio was so great. And thank goodness I've always worked for management. One time, general manager said, I don't like your opinion. I go, I don't care. Fire me. It's like, you hired me to give my opinion.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, well, we want your opinion to be basically based on what the general manager thinks. What, are you out of your mind?
I debated a sponsor for an hour one time.
I remember that.
And of course, about a month later, after decades, they were no longer a sponsor. It was a fair discussion.
It was a fair discussion.
It was a debate, and I wasn't criticizing anybody. I wasn't attacking anybody. It was a debate, and it was going to happen because there were things going on with regulation that matter.
But you mentioned Chris Cuomo. He said that about CNN. There's the peer pressure. And I can't imagine a couple of times a few times I was thinking of getting out of talk radio because I didn't like where it was going. And there was peer pressure that existed. That, well, this is what our station does. And it's like, we're, for me, it was, we sort of side with the Republican Party. And I went, you didn't hire me and tell me that ever.
Right.
If the Republican Party goes liberal, I'm not going to do it. That's one of the things with as great as what's his name is Scott Jennings is on CNN. As you notice, they argue Democrat versus Republican, not conservative versus liberal.
Right.
I want to talk ideas.
And that's it. I don't want to be a part of a bro team.
No.
These are public servants. They work for us. And it's never been for me, a tough equation to figure out. It's okay to be critical of them, even if I voted for them, even if I plan on voting for them again.
I've always thought of the Buddy Holly movie because it's how I've really thought. I didn't want to do talk radio to begin with.
Right.
An owner said, you got to do talk radio. Okay, fine. I'm going to say what I think. Well, yeah, that's why you're doing it. And it's been that way. There isn't any, oh, okay, would you now we would like to take 20% of the show, and your opinion will be this because it's designated from corporate or the peer pressure of whatever group there is out there. Be like,
Right.
bye.
Yeah.
I'd rather shovel manure in Lubbock.
Yep.
If you remember in the Buddy Holly movie where I said, well, we'll produce it. And he goes, nah, I'm out of here. Well,
Yeah.
come on. He goes, nope, I'd rather shovel, didn't use the M word, but
Right.
use the S word
Yeah.
in Lubbock. And that's always stuck with me. And it was really never, it's like, I'll go do something else.
Yeah.
Because really I will. I mean, I've always done different things in my life, even though this has lasted for such a long time. And, but it's just like, it's never been like, well, do I want the money that much where I'm willing to compromise what I actually believe when everybody will know that I'm doing it? All my friends and family will know that I'm doing it. No, I could never do that.
Well, and I had a friend of mine ask me one time, he goes, how do you create the persona? I said, no, it's not a persona. You have to be, for me, I have to be me. This has to be who I am. I mean, it's because I can't fake it. There might be others who do. I can't. It's not a persona. He goes, but you're just. He goes. So you're kind of always on. I said, well, I'm not always talking, but if you get me into a conversation, it's pretty much the same thing on the air as it is off the air. Yeah.
Where's the real Eric?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
The first 2 weeks of December from a weather perspective is what USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey calls
a very persistent weather pattern.
meaning several weather anomalies between December 1st and 15th.
First of all, the temperature contrast has been absolutely dramatic.
With an extreme contrast either side of a line traveling through the Great Plains.
The only areas that have really been spared the bitter cold east of the Great Plains have been southern Texas and southern Florida. Those areas have been largely spared, although they've seen a couple of cold shots. It really hasn't caused any concern in those key winter agricultural regions.
Precipitation-wise, atmospheric river events across the Pacific Northwest have created record flooding over the past week.
And with that west-to-east movement of the jet stream right across any of those mountain ranges that are basically perpendicular to that flow are just getting assailed with atmospheric moisture, a combination of heavy rain and melting snow due to the unusual warmth, leading to historic runoff.
I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. One of the things that we were talking about last week, and I think the week before, was on the targeting of the Venezuelan drug boats and basically blowing them out of the water.
Yeah.
And when the entire discussion, when you had those 5 Democrats, come out and start talking about troops not obeying illegal orders, and they were asked, "Is it about Venezuela?" And they all went, "No, it's not."
Mm-hmm.
And you and I went, okay. And then when they call it the double tap controversy happened, we went through that and, all of that. Notice how that's disappeared this week, too?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, there's going to be, you asked the question when I came in. You said, is a discussion tomorrow going to be on Venezuela when the president has
the primetime address, the president, 9 p.m. Eastern, he announced it. And then after announcing that and then, basically a declaration on Venezuela. Following that, I thought, okay, I'm guessing the announcement, whatever he's going to address, is going to be on Venezuela. Just a guess.
Right, because he hasn't said, which means, you know what the first thought I had? If he hasn't said it, what it's about, will the networks not carry it?
It's a good question.
Will the networks, well, the interesting thing is no matter what, let's say he doesn't say it and it's not about Venezuela. Here's one. Will CBS carry it?
Right.
But John Fetterman came out, and we'll play it following the bottom of the hour. But Fetterman came out and said what we basically thought last week. We said, you noticed that one thing that wasn't being talked about was the administration was briefing members of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, about the process of what they were doing. And Fetterman was the one who spoke out on it yesterday. And when you and I were listening to it in our pre-show meeting, and we'll play it coming up on the bottom of the hour because we just don't have the time to do it right at the moment here.
Yeah.
I looked at you and said, why aren't Republicans explaining it the way? Why is Fetterman doing the explaining for the Democrats or for the Republicans?
Right.
Why is he making the case? I'm telling you, I mean, the Republican Party is so inept in messaging at a time when it's never been easier to promote conservative and even conservative populist opinions.
You know what they should do? An interview with Vanity Fair. Get the word out, you know.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when you choose. All right, so when we noticed that it was only around the fringes, and it was sort of implied, well, if Trump's going after those boats, it's some type of war crime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you and I said, you notice that you don't have Democrats out there, and then when the 5 came out and were confronted and said, are you talking about the Venezuelan boats? Every one of them said no.
Right.
And we're like, all right. And then we were doing more reading and found out, because this did not get a lot of news, that the administration was walking through. We're taking members of Congress in. I'm assuming those, part of the House and Senate Intelligence Committee, and giving them briefings, and they were giving them briefings all along.
Right.
Here's why we're doing it.
Right.
And you and I said it must be pretty convincing, because if it wasn't, Democrats would have been screaming. They would have had a press conference, and all of them in unison saying, we got the briefing. They're just shooting anything out of the water. This is a war crime.
Right.
And we said, why isn't there more talk again from Republicans saying, no, we're being briefed on this thing, on all of this? This is Fetterman yesterday.
All right.
Senator Fetterman, the Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. He's on News Nation with Chris Cuomo.
Topic switch. What did you learn, Senator, that gave you any comfort that we're not heading into some kind of extended military exercise around Venezuela or in Venezuela?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was pretty comprehensive, and this idea, some things out in the media, it's kind of putting out this that the military is just picking off any boat that comes across. That's just not true. I mean, there's extensive intelligence. And they know exactly who's on that boat, and they know what's actually on that boat right now. And it's quite frequently they decline to take it and to move on those things. When they move on those kinetic kinds of strikes, they have absolute confidence that who's on it and what's on it, and that's exactly what it's about. They're not just going around randomly just shooting boats in those things. That's just not the fact at all.
Next, coming from a Democrat. And the reason that's so important, because we also talked about the entire thing of, you heard Congress saying, designating you did have some Democrats out there saying, well, these are just drug runners, and this should be taken care of by law enforcement.
Right.
And we have actually gone through some of the illegal articles that have said, no, actually, if you're out there in international waters like that, you don't have, law enforcement doesn't have the jurisdiction out there. The president actually does.
Right.
But when you saw how you had, and this wasn't even the Republicans, this was one of the op-ed pieces that we read a couple of weeks ago. I forgot who wrote it, but they laid out precisely why this is justified. I just can't remember for the life of me at the moment who wrote the article. We said it at the time, though. We went through it. It was one of the people from America First. That's who it was. And he said, no, they've actually laid it out. They've laid it out to Congress. They laid it out and said, this money. This isn't about, what's a narco-terrorist? What you basically want to say is, narco-terrorist means what? What does that mean? Narcotics to support terrorism. But what you have here is state-sponsored narco-terrorism.
Right.
This isn't the fact of, you might be able to make the case in a lot of instances that in Mexico it's not the government actually cooperating with the cartels, but they just can't stop the cartels. The United States is telling the administration is, when they give their briefings to Congress, is apparently, this was the case made in the article, is telling them and showing them and connecting the dots between the government, the drugs, and then the money flow with the accounts to Hamas, Hezbollah, and other terrorist groups that are enemies of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once you lay that all out, you've just laid out the justification for it.
Yeah. Right. And again, with Democrats being briefed on this, there is no doubt if they saw any daylight, any gap in this at all,
they'd be screaming bloody murder.
We would hear nothing about health care. It would be all about this. And it would be nonstop.
Wow. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I heard nothing on health care.
Johnson said there's not going to be a vote this week.
Okay, I heard that nothing.
Yeah. So, yeah. And, he said there were some Republicans in some of the swing states that were, pushing for it. He said it just isn't meant to be. Just isn't going to happen this week. So we'll go into January, basically, because they're scheduled to be done Friday, and then the Senate is scheduled to be done on the 22nd. And I don't see anything. If Johnson's saying the vote's not going to happen, then it's not going to happen. There's no possibility of it. So we'll go into January with this, and which means you get closer to the shutdown, January 30th. So.
From thehill.com, Republicans on the House Rules Committee yesterday shut the door on amendments to extend the expiring Affordable Care Act subsidies, effectively setting the stage that health care premiums are going to go up, or they were going to go up anyway. I did see, and we'll have this coming up here, I don't have it here sitting in front of me, that you saw the General Accounting Office did an analysis on one of the Republican plans. It says it'll actually cut premiums by 11% and save tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
On the Republican plan. But that doesn't mean anything to the consumer of health care. They don't care what the overall cost is. All they care about is what their cost is.
That's it.
A group of moderate Republicans offered the amendments during a committee debate on the broader GOP health care package, which advanced by a recorded vote of 6-4. However, all of the amendments were ruled out of order, meaning they will not be voted on by the full House. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick was one of the Republicans who offered an amendment to the panel. His amendment would have incorporated key provisions of the bill that he and Representative Jared Golden of Maine introduced to extend the subsidies for 2 years while implementing certain eligibility reforms. We already went over that. So that's one vote would be under $200,000, whatever I think it was. I think the only thing worse than a clean extension without any income limits and any reforms, because it's not a perfect system, the only thing worse than that would be an expiration. He added that there would be consequences if the amendment were not made in the order. The subsidies are set to expire at the end of the month, and moderates have warned that failing to extend them could cost the party its majority in the 2026 midterms, which is true.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the other thing, too. You get into January, and you still don't have anything. You get into a shutdown at the end of January, and you don't have anything. And then that goes on for a few weeks into February. And you're basically talking a couple of months into the midterm season, and then you end up caving anyway?
Let's be blunt. The American public is not calling for reform in the healthcare system.
They're not. They're not.
What the Republicans are doing and what the conservatives actually want to do and what Rand Paul wishes to do is actually the best way for health care to go in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Which is HSAs, take off the caps, something we've talked about for the longest time, health care across state lines, true competition, a ton, especially for young people, a ton of catastrophic, a smorgasbord of different plans that you can get, including, especially for young people, catastrophic care,
right,
which then they can put in HSAs also with a pretty high deductible,
right,
where then you also have your HSA that you can put in, and you're encouraged to keep that money because that, along with your 401k, again, is pre-tax dollars, and if you don't use that money, well, for medical care, and that thing will grow over a period of time. I know I had one for a while, and it grew to be pretty large. That you control much more of your healthcare decisions, and there's a lot more transparency in the entire system.
Right.
It's the way to go. It's the right way to go. The public has no interest in it.
None.
Just like it is right for the conservative Republicans who say, we've got to cut the debt. We got to cut the deficit. It's absolutely the right thing to do. But again, the public isn't asking for that.
No.
There's no demand. There's no protest. There's nothing going on saying, let's cut the deficit. This is going to destroy so much that we have built in this country if we ever have to get to the point of having to cut the budget 20, 30%
right,
at that point when
right,
it has to be done.
Right. And it's just, that's the reality that you're in right now.
Yeah. And it's tough for the Republicans because the Republicans that want to do the right thing, the public just has no interest in doing it. And
right.
I mean a significant portion of Republicans. We know that from 2017.
Yep.
Republicans are the ones that Obamacare did what, was not thrown out in 2017.
Because in 2016, it was the campaign. It was one of the big campaign promises.
Yep.
And then you get to 2017, and then the rank and file was saying, don't do it.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Get rid of the mandates. Don't get rid of Obamacare.
Right.
Get rid of any penalty,
because
any cost.
You're essentially, you're looking to rebuild health care in a big way by rebuilding Obamacare, and you expected to get that done in a couple of weeks after all these years?
Rebuilding Obamacare, or you mean getting rid of it?
Tearing it down
okay.
and reconstructing the whole, the entire process.
Yes. In a couple of weeks.
Of where it is right now.
Yeah.
And you want to do that in a couple of weeks? This fight was for 2009, 2010. And I don't know if the Republicans know it, but here in a matter of days, it'll be 2026. And they gave themselves a couple of weeks. All right. Well, it's not going to happen in January, because if there's no urgency to get it done by the 1st, then I don't know where the urgency is. Now, again, Anderson Cooper's going to be in his black T-shirt and jeans in somebody's living room because they're not getting the health care. They're not getting the actual care because they don't have Obamacare anymore because they can't afford it. And they're going without it, and they're going without care. They can't see their doctor. Those things are going to start playing out. Government shutdown January 30th. And more of those scenes play out. Then you'll get to the end of February, and the Republicans will cave. There's your future.
How do you know that? It's like you've been through this a number of times in your career.
No, I have a crystal ball. How dare you? It's how it's going to play out.
And the reason is the public may theoretically want better health care, but realistically, they don't. It's the same thing with the debt.
And the optics spread among those who aren't even directly affected. They're going to see Anderson Cooper sitting in somebody's living room. Well, this guy, wait a minute. This guy he needs the care. Their child needs care. They can't afford the care. They can't afford the care, and it's everywhere. It's like, oh, that's not good. Why aren't they giving them care? Well, Republicans don't want to do it. And then Republicans feel the pressure because you've got a slim margin, and November 3rd is coming up pretty fast. Next November 3rd. And you're going to have to do something about it. Or not, and then see what happens November 3rd.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Chip Roy had to say this about what's going on. He said, now we're sitting here and we're listening to nonsense about health care where my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are here saying, well, you guys aren't doing anything about the massive expensive cost of health care. Well, why do you think it's expensive? Because you guys literally cut a deal with the insurance companies to run health care, end of quote.
Yeah.
You're the ones that made it so expensive. You're the ones that put through the subsidies just temporarily. Your plan is failing. It's becoming expensive. You don't want the public to see it, so you want more subsidies so you can hide the true failure.
Hide the true cost.
The true cost and then true failure of Obamacare.
Yeah, right.
The Republicans, some Republicans, are actually trying to do the right thing. Let's actually get a system that is sustainable.
Put hands in the money of the people.
Yeah.
You know, allow them,
and
again, with catastrophic coverage, high deductible, HSA, raise the limits on HSA accounts, and allow people then to make choices, and then people will start paying attention to pricing. That's where you get on top of the cost of health care.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.